Can they hear me now? Yeah, I think that's working now. I don't know what happened. Actually, something changed. So again, it was a very volatile day. We can just go back to what happened today. As we can see, they reported 6% instead of the forecasted 0.5%. And well, as expected and mentioned yesterday, that's the result, right? And right now we are mm, dumping following SPX while the dollar index is rising a little bit, not really pumping, but as we can see here, it was following all the time the bottom trend line, and we have just created a bear trap and have started to lift up again. So that's a big problem, and it was expecting such kind of move. Let us see what happened to the hourly view. Well, we have I will change here in candles maybe to make it clear what happened here. So we can notice here we are leaving the top at the moment. We are not touching really the top, the maximum of 1.00. Um, and we have started to decline a little bit while the price is lifting up. And we can see here the stablecoin, the yellow curve is indicating the stablecoin reserves on exchanges keeps rising. It keeps lifting up, different to the weeks before when we had just a declining trend. From now on, it's really just lifting up. And you can see here it was declining. We got some new pump ammo. It was declining again. It rised again by a few hundred US dollars, and we have started to pump up. Our total net flow, yeah, my stream on Discord. I don't know what's happening today. It's not working? Oh, Jesus. I I'm sorry, guys. I don't know. Today tech is not my best friend the whole day. I don't know what's happening. Well, I try again. You can see the weights ratio 30 hours average. It's declining. And that's actually what's happening. It's declining while the price is lifting up. We had just a short term, I would say a little pump of weights ratio, but it wasn't enough just to show the sell pressure. I have started just 2 hours ago to raise again. But it's just following SPX right now, the stock market, while the US dollar index is rising in price. However, the yellow curve, as mentioned, that's our stablecoin reserve on exchanges, and it's rising. Every time when we did some kind of dump, the stablecoin reserves just decline, indicating some big outflows, and then just immediately, few minutes later, we receive a big amount of US dollar, some 100 million of US dollar stablecoin reserves to refill their reserves, and then we have started to lift up again. We can see that here, for example. It's really insane. Every time when we had such kind of dump, we refill the stablecoin reserves, and we have started to lift up afterwards. It's happening here as well. I mean, that we are talking here about maybe 150 million, but it seems it's just pushing up the price. And we can see here also the waste ratio. And that's the block view right now. Just declined. It dumped before we have started um, to lift up again. And we can see here that was our retest of 45.6. It was, well, a retest of the support area. And last time we did 45.4. Now we are talking about 45.6. We have to see what's happening next, but it looks at the moment it looks very bullish. At least as we know that we have a big spot event and some crypto exchanges are investing big money in commercials. So I would expect that could at least attract some traders to buy Bitcoin and other crypto assets and to lift up in price. However, I know some of you would say, oh, Jesus, Inspo. I'm not convinced that we are moving or shifting back to a bull market at the moment. We can see here, that's our chart I have presented you yesterday. That's a combination of stablecoin inflows, and that's the red line or curve, and the brown is outflows, and we have here spot inflows, so the Bitcoin inflows. And well, we can see here it have started to rise when we had this dump. Okay, all the time it was rising in Bitcoin inflows, but it wasn't that much. We are talking about every hour, maybe 1,500 Bitcoins. So it's not the same level we had in December or actually in January. But the stablecoin inflows are big. We are talking here about 380 million. We have here 291 million, 295 million. So we are maintaining a stablecoin inflow every few hours of 240 to 350 million, and that's really that's big. However, we had some outflows as well, but the inflows are leading. Actually, that's the same chart, but we have here the stablecoin reserves on the exchanges, just to show you how correlates the stablecoin inflows or reserves, the declining or depending if it's declining or lifting up, to the price action. So we had here just a declining reserve while the price was maintaining actually, and that was the days where we spent at that level. You remember that was between February 5th to February 6th at a level of 41.6, and since then we have started to lift up in stablecoin reserves on exchanges, and the price, as you can see, was lifting up at the same time. So we have a big correlation between both. And we can see here actually the inflows, sequential inflows of stablecoins on the exchanges and the outflows, indicating these guys have just sold their bitcoins the way up and just cashed out in stablecoins. It's actually the same graph. Interesting here is we have the Bitcoin inflows in the bottom indicating here, for example, in the last hour we had 1,300 Bitcoins inflow. 2 hours ago 860. So the biggest we had today was 2,000 Bitcoin right here. That was almost 6 hours ago, before we have started to lift up, indicating there was a preparation. In my opinion, that's a sign of preparation, that these guys were just waiting to lift up, to sell the way up, and as it seems that we have stopped, or we just noticed some weakness in demand, and now the price is just dumping or at least declining. At the same time, it's just following SPX. We can check SPX again. Well, SPX is retracing right now, but that matches very well. Let us make a jump to future trading because someone just shared this chart that's Glassnode. And Glassnode was indicating that we had a lot of rising open interest in Bitfinex. And he was asking if I think that's longs because of the moves today. It's not. I was checking that. And we can see that here. In the last 12 hours, we had more longs, but it's not that big. Even Bitfinex was showing in the last 12 hours just 50.87% longs and 49.13% shorts. So that's not really big, right? But the ratio in all exchanges was 50.56% versus 49.44%, indicating more longs than shorts, but that's not a big gap. That's not a big difference. Even if we check the last 4 hours, it has started to flip to shorts then. If we check the last 24 hours, we see here that's almost the same. 50.14% against 49.86%. So it's not really a big difference. And that's confirmed by the funding rate of the last 8 hours. So here we have the first exchange indicating a bullish sentiment and their future traders. We have Gate and Bitget, where we have negative funding rate, but everything else is looking very bullish at the moment. People just showing and expecting a bullish price action. I will be careful with that because at the moment I think we will rise even more in volatility. We have to be very careful with that. A good news open interest by strike for our expiry tomorrow. The max pain rise to 41K. Okay, that's really interesting because I wasn't expecting such a move. I mean, of course, we are right now at 44K, 44.7, and it seems these guys are just buying some big calls at 46 and upper levels, indicating also these guys are expecting a bullish price action. We can see here we have the biggest strike actually in the expiry tomorrow is calls at 45K, indicating that these guys are expecting a price, at minimum at 45K, and we have 60 million there. And the biggest put position is with 47 million at 30K. So that's not going to work anymore. Except they dumped really hard now, but I don't think that. So we have for tomorrow, we have almost 800 million open interest. That's not bad, but that's not really, really big, right? It's not compared to the 25th February expiry with almost 1.4 billion. That's a nice one. At the moment, it doesn't show a big volume development. We have to check, but yeah. So also here BTC volume by expiration, we can see calls 100 million to puts 64 million. Also that changed, indicating that even option traders are flipping to bullish right now and making some corrections, it seems. If we take a look to the BTC top traded instruments, we can see also here, as mentioned, 46K calls. They spent 43 million in the last 24 hours for this position. We have for February 25th, also 33 million spent in calls at 48K, also bullish. And for Friday, well, calls at 45K. So actually, it looks very, very bullish at the moment. We have here puts at 43K, and even that, it's not that bearish anymore. So, but it didn't change in the max pain in general for all expiry. So we are maintaining the 40K. We have to see. I mean, I guess after this Friday and hitting the February 25th, it's going to be very interesting and exciting what's happening. I'm expecting bigger volume then in 24 hours, volume by strike. And if that continues, I'm not going to say that we are going to moon. Not at the moment. It doesn't look like. But I think we will rise a little bit more in price, and 47K is something I have in mind at the moment. We will talk about that because of the exchange walls as well. Let us take a look to the analysis of entities. We have our market makers. I have mentioned yesterday, I was expecting that yesterday was maybe a day where they have started to sell. This chart is delayed by 24 hours. So it's indicating, it's showing right now what happened yesterday and know what's happening right now, unfortunately. I have to find a way, maybe I have to develop something to get this kind of information live, because that would be awesome. I have to check that. However, they didn't buy big, but also not sell anything, so it's not showing any big move at the moment. It's going to be very interesting to see tomorrow what happened today. However, we can check here, for example, whales with wallets between 100 and 1000 bitcoins. These guys are still selling, or at least just reducing the balances, and so not covered anymore by this kind of entity. The same with balances between 10 and 100 coins, also not showing any bullish sign. Well, little and small whales with 1 to 10 coins are accumulating, it seems, since we have left 37K. And we can check now what's happening with retailers. Retailers are accumulating. Very nice. Okay, why not? Thank you very much. Well, I have received some DMs and some messages from people just saying me, hey, I have heard that whales have accumulated 220,000 bitcoins in the last 7 weeks, and I have just checked that, and that's not really true, because everything above of 10,000 bitcoins, this kind of entities, for example, okay? Yes, we have some institutionals here, but just few. If you check, for example, the blockchain, if you check some websites, for example, I show you, for example, we have here entities with more than 100,000, okay? These guys, if you take a look, it looks like they were accumulating, right? Okay, I show you something. Oops, sorry. No, that's not the right website. So if we check, we have 4 wallets with balances above of 100,000 Bitcoin. And these 4 wallets, 2 of them are related to Binance, one of them with Bitfinex. And it's true, we have another one, this guy here. No one knows exactly who is behind of this wallet. However, this guy is accumulating since a while. Okay, selling, buying, sometimes very good in timing, but I don't know who is behind. He has 127,000 Bitcoin. However, if we start to talk about entities accumulating, big whales accumulating 220,000 Bitcoin, and you check this information, you will notice many of them are exchanges. And that's why I just check everything below of 10,000 Bitcoin, because that's going to be very interesting. And as mentioned several times now, wallets with 1,000 to 10,000 Bitcoins have proved to be the market makers because of their trade behavior. Okay, they know exactly close before the market is going to dump. I don't know how they do that, actually, because I think these kinds are the drivers. So just to make that clear, for me, these guys, their moves are very interesting. If they keeps rising up in balances, they are accumulating. That's bullish then. But we have to see, because the situation right now is what they do every time is just buy, sell, buy, sell. At the moment, they have bought a lot. In my opinion, we will maintain maybe this balance. We will see, or maybe decline a little bit, but it looks like they will start to sell soon. If that's the case, we will see that in the price action. I have mentioned something yesterday, and I was happy to see from Jan Wüstenfeld that it seems he is confirming what I have mentioned yesterday in my analysis, that retailers are staying away. And that's actually what he is proving here as well, showing the addresses count related to inflows to exchanges. It just dumped very hard. We can see that here. That's the yellow, the red curve. And also here, we can see that we have the green curve. Okay, it's declining very hard, indicating retailers are staying away. Why addresses count are interesting to detect some, well, problems in the market, because these guys are liquidity. It's much more because the masses are using one address, and if you see a lot of addresses activity on exchanges, that's indicating you more people are joining the market. That's not the case. At the moment, that's not the case. So if you have less people, less liquidity in the market, how is it possible that whales are accumulating? I mean, they want to sell. So just two options. We will moon very soon. I have my doubts because of the monetary policy at the moment, and with the inflation, 7.5%, that's pain. And the second case is just they are buying low to sell high. That doesn't mean we are going to moon. That just means they are selling in the upper half. And that's what I still expect. And so Inspo is still expecting a retest of 33K. At the moment, I cannot say when it's going to happen. We have to check the data, but that's still indicating that's the case. Even if we check, for example, our daily view in weights ratio, it's actually happening what I said yesterday. It has started to decline the weights ratio 30-day average again. And that's again indicating us we are on track, in my opinion. These guys have accumulated a lot of tokens on the exchanges. No one is going to expect a big dump, because they will say, hey, we didn't detect any big inflows. They sent a lot of tokens. Remember, end of January, those 40,000 Bitcoin. I don't see this 40,000 Bitcoin at the moment, at least, due our volume in the market. I think they still have this, yeah, huge amount of Bitcoins on exchanges waiting. I don't know for what exactly, if that's the opportunity or to see if the demand is showing the first weakness to dump afterwards. we have to see. But I was longing today. Um, they were very close to wreck me with my long because of the volatility. Okay, I was expecting that. I wasn't using big money, to make clear. That was more gambling. Then we lifted up and I flipped to short again. I'm shorting right now, but also with a tiny stop loss, just to use actually a little bit this swing that what I was expecting. Well, yeah, I think we covered a lot of information, and really last time you can see here the volume. That's Coinbase at the moment. It doesn't look that well because we are declining really hard at the moment, and the volume is not showing a big buy pressure. Okay, so if you're longing, be careful, but I have to be honest, even if you are shorting, be careful, because we have another interesting event tomorrow. That's the US Federal Reserve Monetary Policy Report. And it depends what these guys are going to declare tomorrow to release, that can generate more volatility. And I'm expecting that. Okay, guys. Then I would like to close the session for now, and I would check just the question if you have some. Otherwise, I would close the session. I'm using right now the opportunity or the option to make subtitles with with Google Docs. So I hope that's working fine. So I can add the subtitles directly to the YouTube video, and that should work very fine. Let me check. Do you think this pattern of refill is a sign of institutional buying? Um, these market makers are very strong, so that's absolutely possible. It's possible that these guys are buying to sell again in the yeah, price level we have reached. So I can imagine that these guys are partly also institutionals. Yeah. The next question: when was the last time we saw such pattern of stablecoin refills? Well, that happens always then when they are expecting a dump just to bring some buy pressure to maintain a price level, okay, or to pump. And for me, and that's why weights ratio is very useful then, to combine weights ratio with this kind of different indicators, because it's indicating me if the sell pressure is going to rise or not. If the sell pressure is not going to rise, but we have seen, for example, big inflows in stablecoin, I would say that's pump, and that happened in the last few days. So that's for me a very interesting thing. Well, yeah, the exchange was absolutely true, but nothing have changed since yesterday. So we have that's Bitfinex. We have here Coinbase. We have here, for example, at 47K, a little wall, but nothing big. It maintains the level of yesterday, actually. Nothing happened since then. Nothing changed. No big reinforcement. Binance is limiting the price or the way up at 50K, but 50K is very high. We have here 42K, but yeah, since yesterday, really nothing happened. Bitfinex, as you can see here, also. And that's interesting from Bitfinex, that they are trying to limiting the way up instead the way down. And FTX, you can see here. So yeah, what do you mean? Yeah, yeah, that's what I explained. No, nothing big. Okay, okay, nothing big. So I'm taking a look to the next question. What should market switch to the bull? To convince me, well, first of all, I would like to see more stablecoin inflows. First of all, I want to see wealth ratio declining constantly. Okay, even also the daily, but for me it's more interesting the hourly, and everything above of 47 at the moment would be show me that the market is strong enough um, just to lift up, to break all these walls we have um, in the upper ranges. And the volume. The volume is very interesting because the volume is indicating you how, if the market is healthy or not. If you have demand, if you don't have demand. Supply and demand is the key in any markets. Okay? It doesn't matter if the market is manipulated or not, but supply and demand is the key in every market. So I'm taking a look many times to the volume for that. My short liquidation is 48K. What should I do? Will price go there? Well, I can't tell you what you should to do because that would be an advice. I just can tell you 47K looks very solid as a limitation to go further up. At the moment, I wouldn't say that we are going to go to 47K at the moment because, as you have seen, um, we failed now 2 times to break this range. It's very strong, and certain whales don't want to break this level at the moment because I guess if they do that, they want to sell afterwards. Someone has to absorb their tokens, and that's always the problem. Another YouTube question: do you think the chance of 20K is gone? Sorry. Okay, the chance of 20K is gone. Well, it depends. Short term, yes, of course. And that's what I think. I was never thinking that we will make 20K in the first quarter of 2022. I think that can happen this year, but I was expecting just to retest 33K, maybe 30K, and then just to lift up and start a little bull run. And that's the exit strategy, just to attract a little bit or reactivate the remaining retailers to dump on them, and then just to lift the market because of the monetary policy we are seeing and the inflation. I don't think, taking into account the development of inflation, that the monetary policy is going to change in the next few days or weeks or month actually, but we have to see. So what I mean is, did this pattern occur previously in the bull market last year, 2020? It was an absolutely different situation. 2020, 2021, the bull run was amazing. I'm a big fan of this bull run. That was a huge and beautiful one. And since last summer, the market has changed extremely in any kind. In my opinion, much more manipulation is happening. In my opinion, we have a demand problem since then. I just mentioned yesterday in my analysis, I think that's happening because China and regulation um, questions. Because institutionals are maybe not American, I don't know. I just can say for the European ones, or at least the German ones, um, we have 400 billion euros waiting to flow in the crypto market because the German lawmaker just provided to institutionals the opportunity to invest in crypto. And they are waiting for regulation clearance. And that's something it has to happen, and we need that as soon as possible because that's the key for the mass adoption. Okay, guys, I would say for today that's enough. I think we have checked a lot of information. As mentioned, from Monday to Friday, I will start to bring a lot of stuff in less time. Bring also a fact sheet with graphics, charts, and more information there. So we will have something on paper. We will have a video where I can answer your questions as well. And Saturdays we will make a longer session where we can talk about what happened last week, what can happen next week. Let us check some information about geopolitics, about politics in general related to the crypto market. So thank you very much. Send me feedback as much as you want and as you can. It's very welcome because I'm providing this information for you guys. Okay? I'm analyzing this market anyway because I'm trading as well. So stay safe, take care, and we will see us tomorrow again. Thank you very much. Bye bye. Big love.